African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of September 1st, 2025. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. Units of the North Troop Group inflicted defeats on formations of 2 mechanized brigades, an airborne assault brigade, an assault regiment of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a territorial defense brigade, and a Special Operations Forces regiment in the areas of the settlements Pavlovka, Velikaya Berezka, Alexievka, Yastrabino, Unikovka, and Proletarskoye in the Sumy region. In the Kharkiv direction, defeats were inflicted on units of mechanized and motorized infantry brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Zelino and Volchansk in the Kharkiv region. The enemy lost over 150 servicemen, a tank, 4 armored combat vehicles, 8 cars, and 4 artillery guns. Radio-electronic warfare station, counter-battery warfare station, an ammunition depot, and 5 supply depots were destroyed. Units of the West Troop Group improved their tactical position. Defeats were inflicted on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized and assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Kupiansk, Petropavlovka, Borovskaya Andriivka, Novosergivka in the Kharkiv region, and Kirovsk in the Donetsk People's Republic. Losses of the Armed Forces of Ukraine amounted to over 230 servicemen, 3 Western-made armored combat vehicles, 24 cars, and 3 field artillery guns. 7 radio-electronic warfare stations, a counter-battery warfare station, and 5 ammunition depots were destroyed. Units of the South Troop Group occupied more advantageous lines and positions. Defeats were inflicted on formations of 4 mechanized, airborne assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Pozino, Seversk, Konstantinovka, Fedorovka, Markovo, Nikolaevka, Minkovka, Vasyukovka, Ivanopoly, and Peryezno in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost over 170 servicemen, an armored combat vehicle, 4 cars, and 2 artillery guns. A supply depot and a fuel and lubricants depot were destroyed. Units of the Center Troop Group improved their position on the front line. Defeated personnel and equipment of 3 mechanized brigades, an airborne assault brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, 2 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Dmitrov, Belitskoye, Rodinskoye, Krasny Lyman, Udaknoye, Krasnoarmysk, and Lysovka of the Donetsk People's Republic. Losses of Ukrainian armed formations amounted to over 415 servicemen, 1 tank, 3 infantry fighting vehicles, 8 cars, and 3 artillery guns. Units of the East Troop Group continued advancing deep into the enemy's defense. Defeated formations of a mechanized brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Dorozhnyanka, Poltavka, Zeleny Gay, Novosolovka, Olgovskoye in Zaporizhia region, and Voronoye in Dnipropetrovsk region. The enemy lost over 220 servicemen and 7 vehicles. Units of the Dnieper Troop Group inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of a mechanized brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and 3 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements Belagory, Stepnogorsk in Zaporizhia region, Otradokomenka, Lvovo, Antonovka, Belozerka, and Sadovo in Kherson region. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost over 60 servicemen, 10 vehicles, 4 electronic warfare stations, a counter-battery warfare station, and 5 ammunition depots. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian Armed Forces troop groups inflicted damage on command posts and drone production workshops, ammunition depots, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations in 150 areas. Destroyed were a launch unit of the HIMARS multiple launch rocket system, a multifunctional radar station and MPQ-65, a control cabin, and a launch unit of the US-made Patriot surface-to-air missile system. Air defense means shot down 3 rocket projectiles of the US-made HIMARS multiple launch rocket system and 260 airplane-type unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, destroyed 666 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 80,972 unmanned aerial vehicles, 627 surface-to-air missile systems, 24,910 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,589 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 29,143 field artillery and mortars, 40,818 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.